Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy Thursday. Well, the news gets interesting, more interesting every day, I guess.
It does indeed. First of all, right now we're still at a standoff with the situation in Iran. The blockade continues. President Trump has now come out and said, we have no deadlines, no time limits. I can keep this going as long as I have to. Don't worry about it. And people, because he's always being questioned by reporters, well, how long can you do this? No, he can do it forever. That's what he thinks anyway. And, you know, I was thinking, Bill, I started to get caught up in the that narrative that the media was putting out there. Is he being played? I thought it was something that was a possibility. Then I thought about it last night. I thought, this is Trump's modus operandi. He likes to keep the people on the opposition off balance.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing it right now. He's keeping them off balance. They don't know whether he's going to drop a bomb on them, going to completely shut off their economy forever. In the meantime, he's saying, yeah, I expect them to be at the table sometime, maybe this weekend. He said, maybe this weekend. I mean, and they're saying, we have no plans of going back and talking with the Americans until they open up this blockade. Like they have options, Like
no, they have no options.
You gotta love it.
And as far as anybody being played, the American public's being played by the media.
Yes, you're right. Yep, you're absolutely correct. That's the truth. I think that was well said.
Well, you said played. So
that's right, that's
my story. I'm sticking to it,
and I think it works. But anyway, they are the blockade continues on. I think that Iranians bragged about getting 3 ships through. Or something like that, or they stopped 3 ships. I've forgotten exactly, but they were not American ships. I think they were Iranian ships. It's like they are desperately trying to make it sound like they are in control of the situation, the Iranians, and Bill, they're not. Trump had pointed out, by the way, that there were 8 young women who were about to be executed for the most ridiculous stuff. But that's how they do it. They were 8 protesters. They were spared execution because Trump asked that they not do it, to the Iranians, as a gesture. It said here, to the Iranian leaders who will soon be in the negotiations with my representative, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. And he posted the pictures of the 8 women. I am sure that they will respect the fact that you did so. Or please do them to. You love it. I'm reading it verbatim, obviously for the first time, and there's a typo. Please do no harm to them is what he meant to say, but was written here was please do them no harm. Would be a great start to our negotiation. Then he came out, Bill, and said, very good news. I've just been informed that the 8 women protesters who are going to be executed tonight in Iran will no longer be killed. 4 will be released immediately, and 4 will be sentenced to 1 month in prison. None of them should spend a day in prison. They didn't do anything wrong. But I think they're keeping 4 as like hostage for a month. You do this, we'll kill these 4. We'll let 4 go. Let 4 go. But if you screw around with us, those 4 are going to get it.
In Iran, women have no value, and sadly, the women that they're holding, the 4 that they're holding, probably don't have a good prognosis for long life because their captors can really give 2 flips about them.
Yeah, and where do they release them to? They release them to the streets of Iran, where they can be picked up again at any time. And put right back
Traffic,
in the news.
whatever. Yeah. No, it's a bad situation, but. And you mentioned there was a typo by Trump. Maybe he did. We all do typos. Hell, when I'm doing stuff and I'm typing stuff, and then I look back and I'm going, where the hell did that word come from? Where'd that word come from? Well, now I didn't ask for it, but I have AI that auto corrects me. The auto
all the time. Yeah,
and it puts in other words. I'm going like, well, with that word you inserted, it sure takes and gives that whole damn thing I just wrote an entirely different meaning. I'm prone to typos myself. I don't need any help.
I heard a survey, Bill, yesterday about AI, and I forgot the exact numbers, but a lot of people admitted to using AI to write letters and things like that, writing, but they didn't trust it for facts. I thought that was interesting. They trusted enough to have them write letters, and things like that. But the majority of these people who were polled said they didn't trust the facts that the AI was giving them, which goes to the algorithm you were talking about last week when we talked about AI. It depends upon who's programming it.
Yeah, it's who's asking. They track you. They track you for everything. They track you to give you, to sell you stuff. They track your buying habits, and major corporations use the buying habit thing because if it's Amazon, they want to know what you're willing to spend for. I don't know. I got a cup of coffee right here. Well, Bill will pay $3 for a cup of coffee, but Jim will only give $1.50.
You know me.
Yeah. So when you're going, where can I get a cheap cup of coffee? I'm going to get the $2.99 and up. You're going to get $1.25 up to $1.50 because they know that's you. They want to squeeze every damn dime that they can out of each individual person. Selective pricing, that is another form of discrimination and screwing you.
Well, AI, Amazon, it is one huge computer. That's really what it is. With warehouses.
Walmart, it's all of them. Anything on the internet is...
You know what it does to me? This is interesting. I did a search maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, for, I don't know, I was just casually looking for something, and then I went on and with my life. I've been given daily updates about, hey, we found something you may like. It's something similar to one of your searches. This may fit your needs perfectly. And again, I haven't researched it, but they must get a lot of people who are, they say no the first time. No, I don't want to do that. No, but by them prompting them with different pictures and different, hey, look at it, we found this. It's similar to what you searched. Is this what you're looking for?
Right.
They probably get sales. So
you get something in your mind. That's the way the internet works. I used to always call it the onesies. You get the I onesies. You think about something you really want, and somebody here is rolling their eyes, going, "Yeah, you get the onesies all the time," and then you get the getsies. You're going to find a way to buy it some way, somehow, and you want it, and that's it. That's just a human condition, and the internet has become the devil amongst us to feed us all of our bad.
Well, and they get me. I have to admit, sometimes they actually get me to purchase something on that second or third. Hey, you might have missed this. This would be good for you.
It's like going to a fishing hole where we're the fish and we bite.
I guess we do.
They just keep casting that line, and sooner or later, they're okay. I'm going to give in, and I'm going to bite the hook. Or, well, that looks like pretty good bait there. I'm going for it. We're suckers.
A couple of things I wanted to point out today. Did you hear about the Navy Secretary, John Phelan? He was fired. This is kind of interesting. Here's how they reported it yesterday on Fox.
Other breaking story tonight, a shakeup at the Pentagon, another one. The Navy Secretary departing his post. What do we know?
Yeah, the Pentagon spokesman just announced Navy Secretary John Fillon is departing the administration effective immediately, saying, quote, "We wish him well in his future endeavors." It was not immediately clear from this post if he resigned or was fired, but Fox News has learned in the last few moments that he was fired. He had a very close relationship, apparently, with Donald Trump Jr. and just hosted a bridal shower for his fiancée this past weekend in Palm Beach. Fillon was confirmed by the Senate just over a year ago. Undersecretary Hung Kao is to assume the role of acting secretary. This marks the 34th military officer that Secretary Hegseth has fired since taking over the agency, Brad.
Yeah,
You know, it's kind of amazing. He may pronounce it Fallon, but I think it's pronounced Phelan. And
Well, Phelan has fallen. No, I mean, why?
But
though?
here's
That's-
what I was going to point out. Don't you think it's amazing? Nowadays, reporters, they're lazy. You know, Phelan. I always thought it was John Phelan. And it's John Fallon. Well, maybe he does pronounce it Fallon. Maybe I'm wrong. But I've heard that a lot from young reporters, even successful young reporters. They don't get all the facts just right. Do you know?
Well, is he French? I guess then it would be Fallon, but PH is
No, I think it's Irish. I could be wrong.
Well, it
Maybe
could
I'm
be.
wrong.
I don't-
But anyway, he's out, and Bill, it's not. He's doing a shakeup, and I heard people say, "Well, I wonder why they fired the Navy secretary." What I heard was the story is I heard this morning was that it had something to do with shipbuilding. Maybe and that's all he said. I didn't mean that they didn't say whether he was building too many or building from the wrong companies or whether he wasn't building them fast enough, which I think may be the case. You know, Trump was a guy that would say, I can fix that and I can fix it fast, and he would do it. Maybe some of these bureaucrats, they drag their feet too much. Well, we can get a study done to see how many ships we might need. And maybe Trump is saying, wait a second, forget the study. We need 100 ships, get them built, and the guy's dragging his feet. Well, now he's out of work. But he's not the only shakeup. There have been other people who've been dismissed from service. And then I just read this, Bill, along the same lines. The Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism, big job, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was placed on leave amid allegations she used sugar daddies to fund a lavish lifestyle.
She's a young, attractive woman, and so she probably figured that, I don't know anything about her.
Her name is Julia Varvaro. She's 29 years old, but she's the Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism. I mean, that by itself, you just do your job, and you got a real important marker on your resume that you can point to. Hey, I was the Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism. Oh, well, we should give you a job, But now she's going to have this. Well, she was put on leave because she had a bunch of rich guys paying for her apartment and her cars and her dresses. I don't know.
And maybe she did, and maybe you might go, well, is she doing something that makes her vulnerable? Maybe not. I don't know. But, I've known a lot of people throughout life that if they have a situation where they can get something for nothing, they can take advantage of it, and not complicate their work. Some people will compromise their job. But there are people that just sit there, and I knew somebody. I was telling, Ann the other day that, I knew somebody that sat there and had an apartment, had furnishings, had a car, and everything that they didn't pay for. But they were a professional contest winner. They entered every damn contest there was.
Yes.
There was a magazine that used to come out monthly, and it told you everything. And in the bylaws in the back of those magazines, you can enter by mail. She played the odds games. And she sat there and entered everything. She had the personality of a box of rocks, attractive.
Hey, I worked at a radio station where they had a contest every hour, and we had people who would literally call every hour.
Speed dial.
Speed dial. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I could say it now. If you're one of those people, don't take this wrong. But
Get a
radio
life.
guys just, get a life. They used to call them contest pigs.
Yeah.
So if you entered a lot of contests, the people running the contest had a name for you. It was called a contest pig. So what? Oink oink. Go ahead and win. That's what it's there for. You're playing the game and you're listening.
Sometimes they would they weren't big prizes, they were stuff. It was junk, but they wanted to win it. They had to have it. Amazing.
It's an obsession.
It was.
Yeah. Hey, we got a pencil this hour. Third caller gets it right now.
Sometimes they would have a system like they'd have 2 or 3 guys calling from separate phones, and they would, they'd work in tandem. Unbelievable. Anyway.
Hey, here's the weird story. Now, about all the scientists that have gone missing and everything?
Yes, I know.
Heard about the famous UFO researcher David Wilcock?
Absolutely. I used to enjoy
suicide 2 days.
Yeah.
After posting a video warning about how it's scary that scientists are going missing, previously posted about how he's not suicidal.
Yes. Well, the thing about David Wilcox, I've watched him. He was a regular on the TV show Ancient Aliens.
Right.
Young guy, blonde hair, very smart, very, very knowledgeable guy. But like you just said, Bill, he said, I'm excited to be here. Every day that I have on Earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing, he said. It's a little scary. And he wrote that, I think, within days, 2 days before his death.
Yeah, and I saw another story like that. I can't remember it right now, but it happened to somebody else. And I'm sitting there going...
Yes, it was a researcher, the 11th victim of the group of scientists that are missing, a woman who they said committed suicide, just like they said Wilcox committed suicide. Something's going on here, Bill.
Yeah, there is, because, in life, you might have known somebody that has done that, sadly, but there have been signs. There are signs that lead to, this person has got some serious issues that they need to have addressed.
Yeah.
But, usually, society ignores them and whatnot, but this is a case where a guy is saying, boy, this is strange, And I think one of the other people that was that supposedly killed herself and her dad said, "Yeah, don't investigate because I'm a scientist too." It was a suicide, and the first thing that she said before that, she identified that she was in fear of her life, and she is not suicidal.
Yeah, how many times does it have to happen? And what do they just take it at face value, or we found a gun in her hand? Well, they were powder burns on her hand. Do you trying to tell me that if you wanted to stage a quote suicide, you couldn't make sure that they fired a weapon? You just put the gun in the hand of a dead person, fire at one time. They got powder burns on their hands.
There's a guy. And they're investigating now. I think Phoenix police are investigating. If you ever saw the series, what is it? It's
Storage Wars.
Yeah, it was a guy that came
Daryl.
in, probably Daryl.
Yeah,
Sheets. Came in a quarter way through it, but and he had kind of a stupid redneck. He wasn't very articulate, but he was a prominent person on it. And I think he retired 2 years ago and bought an antique shop in Phoenix.
Havasu,
he made a lot of
Lake
money.
Havasu, yeah.
He was making $750,000 when he started a year, and then I think it gets to per episode from A&E. He was a very wealthy man, and then just for no reason at all, he was found dead with a gunshot wound to his head yesterday.
I know.
The day before yesterday.
You know what it says to me? You don't want to be on any kind of A&E type program. You don't want to be on Ancient Aliens. You don't want to be on Storage Wars. Because they don't have a long history of living.
Well, his son. They didn't talk to his son, and his son, they were pretty close. And was Dad suicidal? Dad did have some health concerns, but from what I understand, the character that he played and the character that he is, and those issues, look, you've had health issues. I've had health issues. Everybody in this, in this building I'm in right now has had some sort of health issues. Doesn't make you suicidal. It just means that you're human, and that's life. This guy had no, there were no indications. It's not related to our news, but I'm just saying.
Well,
it just seems convenient.
No, it goes to what we were talking about those 11 scientists who were missing or dead.
Yeah, why?
They all had some connection to government. They all were amazingly gifted people. One of them, by the way, was. Do you remember the Brown University shooting last September? And then the guy took off and the shooter took off and he drove to Boston and he killed a brilliant scientist, an MIT scientist, in his house. Rang the doorbell, ding dong, shot him, and then took off and went up to a storage unit up in New Hampshire where I guess they found his body. All of it was just left at face value, meaning, well, there's nothing to see here. He shot people at Brown University, drove up to Boston, shot a professor, and then went up to New Hampshire and killed himself. It's like they just take it at face value. That's it. And the masses, the public, just nods their heads like those little dogs we used to have in the back of our cars that had their bobblehead on springs, up and down. Yep, okay, that's fine with us. And that's how they leave it. I mean, Bill, I keep pointing to what happened in Butler, PA. What happened with Charlie Kirk. Everything we get from the authorities is supposed to be believed at face value. Okay, there's nothing to see here. He committed suicide. Okay, it was one shooter on the rooftop who nobody stopped, even though he was seen by 50 people and cops were chasing him at one point. He was allowed to get as far as shooting the president. That's okay. It's like none of it makes sense. That kid, the shooter, Crooks in Bethel Park, PA, we still haven't learned why he had 3 offshore accounts.
And we probably never will. We don't even know who shot John Kennedy or either of the Kennedys. So there are a lot of things that we don't know.
Boy,
and
there's
a lot of things they don't want us to know. Now, it's probably not tied to this, but maybe it is, because we're talking about people that just for no reason at all have decided to go out and either off themselves or kill people.
Yeah.
I was watching TV last night, and I might get some eye rolls here in the room. I have a live audience here. But either way, there was a commercial that came on TV, and I said, that's interesting, because we've mentioned before how the internet has an effect. And now they're saying social media has an effect on people under 21, basically teenagers. And it programs them and makes them do things they don't want to do and become suicidal. And it is a major lawsuit that, of course, they've got lots of attorneys standing in line, and they're promising big payouts and compensation because they're going after the Facebooks and all the social media platforms, because there's a study out there that is mind manipulating.
I mean, we talk about young people. I can tell you as a matter of fact that I've been trained that if I get in my car and drive out of my driveway and forget my phone, I go back and get it.
Heaven forbid you leave the house and forget your phone.
I have to have my phone. I have to have it. I feel like I'm walking around with no pants on.
What are you going to use for directions?
That's true. I can't get from point A.
Surely not your memory or a map.
A map? You mean like Rand McNally? Who the heck are they? All I know is I have to type in the where I'm at, and I type in the where I'm going, and then a nice little voice comes out and tells me every single turn I'm to make. Take a left here, go 500 feet, take a left here. I mean, it is, and you've been trained. We've all been trained. Bill, what would happen if we had a national emergency, lost our power, we didn't have any phones to go to turn to? I mean, I know that there are young people who don't know what a rotary phone looks like. Never mind a touch-tone phone. You show a rotary phone to somebody, they look at it like it should have a crank on the side. My God.
Yeah, we're dependent on the internet. And the interesting thing about the internet is that it is a form of communication, whether you say it's wireless or not. It's a form of direct connectivity. It's like stringing up tin cans on a piece of string. Remember when you did that as a kid? Yeah, I made my own private communication in my buddy's house. It's out the window and, through the yard and over on the fence and all the way down the fence to, your other friend's house. And you're talking on a tin can. Essentially, when you think about it, they've strung up satellites, cell sites that are very close together. That is this thing called the cell service. And the internet is basically a thread of connected wires.
We've become so dependent on technology, Bill. It's a shame. I mean, we are. I mean, I see people that I've known. Heck, well, I won't say it, but they're family members who sometimes you'll be in the same room with them, and you don't talk because they're on their phone. It's just they're more interested with that little device in their hands than they are with a conversation with the person across the way.
Best marketing job in the world came from the cellular industry, and we're dependent on it. And now the news manipulates us. If they want to sit there and steer somebody in a certain direction, well, they can. I mean, the Atlantic going after Kash Patel.
Hey, can we pause before we get into that piece? It's going to be a good topic. I just looked at the clock.
Take a break?
Yes. Like and share the show. Tell your friends about It's Another Day with Jim and Bill. It's on Monday through Saturday. And you can visit our website, itsanotherday.com or jimandbill.com. We have two. And they're two unique websites. You should visit both of them just to see them. It's worth the visit. Also, check out our gift shop. And you can make a donation to help us grow the show. That's very important. And if you want to send us an email, just email us at mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
Okay, my friend, you were talking about Kash Patel.
All right. This could be fun, but Kash Patel, he's suing the Atlantic basically for defamation, the whole 9 yards. So the first thing the left does when somebody comes after them, well, we're the grammar police. We found a misspelling here, and you meant to say this, and it was that. Look at all these typos. They make fun of you. And, of course, this is a sign of alcoholism. This guy is, and that's how they're going after him. And they did that when he went overseas to celebrate an Olympic win there, and he's hosting a beer, and that was the evidence that they needed to say that he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, what's the guy that had the cancer or some?
I know you're talking about the representative.
Raskin.
Yeah, Raskin. Jamie Raskin.
Yeah. He's going after him saying that, all right, they want to take Kash Patel and they want him to do alcohol abuse screening. So they're going to,
Amazing.
But the Democrats will question him. Now, I went and looked it up. What is alcohol abuse questioning? And there's actually there's a test that's out there. It's I forget what it's called.
I know. If he would agree to it, Bill, I would suggest the only way I'll do this is if every single member of the Democratic caucus here, or all the members in Congress who are Democrat, they have to do one too.
Well, the question is based on the study is based on 4 questions. Now, there's some that have 8, 12, 32, but it's variations of the 4 questions. So let's go ahead and take a test right now. See if you are a victim of alcohol abuse.
All
Question number 1. Have you ever felt you should cut down on your drinking? So yes or no answer.
No.
No, you've never felt that you should cut down on it.
No.
Okay, that's your first answer.
Hmm?
Have people annoyed you or have people been annoyed by your drinking?
No.
You've never gotten drunk and people thought,
No.
You're a little, okay.
No.
Okay, have you ever felt bad about your drinking?
No.
Have you ever had a drink first thing in the morning?
Never. No.
Well, then, according to this, you don't have alcohol abuse, because if you answered yes twice, then you are in trouble.
It's the wording of those questions, though, that is the hook.
Well, the first one, have you ever felt you should cut down on your drinking?
You're assuming.
You said no.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can interpret that a different way.
Yes, he's proud of his drinking.
Every question is interpretational.
Yep.
But the point is, if you fail in their interpretation of 2 questions, then you need counseling and substance abuse, therapy.
Well,
amazing.
Isn't
it?
It's all in the wording, and I say that because I point to what happened in Virginia the day before yesterday. On Tuesday, they had a special election, and the video was basically about redistricting. Setting up a whole new structure for the. It's gerrymandering the districts in Virginia. And,
they lost.
Well, here's what happened: the Republicans said vote no on this referendum. But it was worded in such a way that if you weren't paying attention to it, you probably would vote yes, because the question was along the lines, do you think you should do this, this, and this to maintain fairness, or do you think that you should do this, It was worded in a way that would make people think that by voting yes, it was the right thing. It was written and designed to push people in a certain direction. Well,
linguistics.
Yeah. Well, what happened was the referendum passed, much to the chagrin of the Republicans, and they were just amazed at what happened, in Virginia. Well, our Virginia court yesterday struck down the referendum. Mind you, it happened on Tuesday. The Democrats celebrated like, we got it. And a court.
Oh yeah, it was. What's the minority whip? What's his name?
You mean in the Congress? Hakeem Jeffries?
Hakeem Jeffries. He was saying, what happened in Virginia?
Well,
you just watch. It's going to happen down in Florida, too.
Well, a judge said it's absolutely, entirely illegal, and he ruled the Democrats' redistricting referendum was unconstitutional, and that was that. So I guess now the next thing is going to end up on the Virginia Supreme Court docket, and it'll be argued there. But now the Democrats have to prove that what they did was constitutional. They're going to have a problem with that. Scott Jennings on CNN, the lone voice of reason on that network, he talked about it.
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line. Even something as egregious as this, This whole thing has driven Spamberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these national Democrats and all their money came into Virginia because, they don't really care about the people of Virginia. They just care about power.
They just care about power. And the good news is, again, the Virginia court has said, no, you can't do that. This is totally unconstitutional.
But it's not over until the fat lady sings, And
she hasn't even warmed her voice up yet in Virginia.
She's not even in the building yet.
That's true. Yes.
True. She's down having some Twinkies and gravy and grits.
Which sounds pretty, it could be a tasty way to start your
Biscuits
day.
And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about breakfast.
I should point out that my friend is traveling right now, so he's like Willie Nelson once sang, he's on the road again.
On the road again?
Yeah, so he's looking forward to that breakfast brunch downstairs after the show is over. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Virginia. They said that if it's allowed to stand, it's going to change the way a lot of the districting is set up in a lot of states, and it's going to do a lot of damage. It's the prototype, as they would say, to what the. And by the way, folks, you heard Bill talk about Hakeem Jeffries, how happy he was, and it was the beginning of this. Do you know? I was thinking, how many really good pieces of legislation have the Democrats proposed since Trump has been in office? How many things that are going to be beneficial to your family and mine have the Democrats proposed? All they have done, it's almost like they decided from the first day of his administration, our sole purpose in life is to destroy this president. Every waking moment of the day, we are to criticize and bash and try to demean and demoralize the right, and I'd love to see them do some great legislation, but they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it. As a matter of fact, Patty Murray is a Democratic senator, big time. She's from Washington State, and she got up, she was asked, why is it the Democrats are always trying to defund ICE? Why is it the Democrats always trying to defund ICE? And she said this.
So we're still going to have a big battle over ICE. I believe ICE should be defunded. I don't think that ICE is any longer capable of existing because it is so corrupt at its core. But we still have to have that debate.
That is not Patty Murray. That is not Patty Murray.
Yeah, I was going to say, he sounds like somebody we know.
That's Patty Murray with a sore throat. No, I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but I can tell you this. She said, and I'll play, you're going to hear 4 people talking. You're going to hear first Patty Murray, her comments. Then you're going to hear Ed Markey from Massachusetts, good old reliable leftist Ed Markey, who'll do anything to be in the good graces of his party. Then you'll hear Melanie Stansbury, representative from New Mexico. Then you'll hear Senator Chris Murphy, the traitor from Connecticut. You're going to hear 4 people from the Democratic side of the aisle. But first, listen to what Patty Murray says. And I'm sure it's Patty Murray this time around.
I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE.
Right now, Democrats have the power to defund and abolish ICE. We should do it.
It is beyond time to defund ICE.
An agency that does not care about the law, does not care what courts say, thinks it is accountable to no one except for the President of the United States. We can't fund that kind of agency. We would be violating our oath of office, all of us, to fund an agency that just doesn't care about the law.
Can you believe this? She says, I've never heard one Democrat say defund ICE. And then I just played 3 in a row who said on the floor of either the House or the Senate, defund ICE.
Well, yeah, but you know what? They can lie, and then they'll back it up. And then they'll say, well, what they really meant when they said that. Yeah, they lie to cover a lie.
Yeah, they do. They do. I don't know where she was at. Maybe she was in the ladies' room when those people were on the floor suggesting that ICE should be defunded. But they said it. They said it on a regular basis. They're still saying it. I think I had that Patty Murray cut now. Better late than never. I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work for me, but I think I got it now. Listen.
I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE. Yeah. What I have heard every single Democrat repeatedly say, when you fund ICE agents, then make sure they have training, make sure they have warrants, make sure they act like law enforcers, and have the ability to have the trust of the American people.
Can you believe that? I mean, she said, I've never heard one Democrat say defund ICE. Do they realize there's such a thing as a recorder, a video recorder?
But you know what? She probably got a series of memos. And they're going, yeah, use memo B. That's the one we're going with. Everybody did it. She got them shuffled. And she read the wrong.
You think?
The wrong statement. She's an idiot.
Well,
They walk lockstep. Everything they do is by an agenda.
Bill, why is it that the people in New England keep voting people like Ed Markey and Chris Murphy into power?
Right.
Connecticut and Massachusetts. I used to live in Connecticut. I loved Connecticut. It was a wonderful state. It was you felt comfortable with its government back then. Oh, yeah, they had Democrats in power back then, but they seemed to be kind of, dare I say, reasonable at the time. Now, all they are is political. And, I mean, we have the other senator from Connecticut who lived on stolen valor. I mean, he got into office by saying he was a big-time Vietnam vet, and he wasn't.
There's a senator from Maine, or a Democrat from Maine, running for Senate, and his whole platform is to impeach. They love to impeach the Democrats, to impeach Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito.
Oh.
And I'm sitting here going, because they're conservatives. Well, they want to impeach him because they feel that they're going to be in power, and then they can impeach, and that will give the Democratic candidate the opportunity to put in two liberals. My suggestion is Thomas is close to retirement time, considering it. Alito, I believe, has got a book coming out in October, and he won't do any announcement until then. I would go ahead and give Trump the double win, and just say, you know what? Let's go ahead and resign now. So he's got two conservative justices to fill, and Sotomayor is going to hang on as long as she can, because she's very ill, and she's a Democrat, and he might get that third. I mean, they got to be careful what they announce and what they wish for.
Yeah, actually, I am a little concerned about the selections he makes for the Supreme Court,
because he gets bad advice.
He gets bad advice, and he goes along with it. He put Amy Coney Barrett in, and Kavanaugh hasn't been terribly reliable, and Gorsuch has made some surprising decisions recently. So I don't know. You look at Alito.
Just because you're a Republican or a conservative, or somebody goes, oh, yeah, they run in the Republican circle. I mean, look at the governor of Virginia. Now, she's considered, even though she's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steinbrenner. Yeah, she sits there. And they were going, well, she's moderate and everything like that. No, she's not. She was a left-wing loon. And she's the one that concocted that redistricting
Didn't she work for the CIA?
Yes, she was a CIA operative.
Yeah.
And, that should have told you a lot right there.
Yeah, you want this person to be your governor? What? But see, people are attracted by the superficial. She's a good-looking woman, blonde hair.
No, she's not good-looking.
Well, I mean, No. I've seen her, Bill. She is not bad-looking. compared to other options you could have had. So she is, to a lot of people, she's appealing. I mean, Bill Clinton, what the heck did he have going for him? He had great hair. Looked good on camera. Looked really good on camera. Which camera am I looking at, that camera or that camera over there? Okay. That was Bill Clinton. You know, he was not a great candidate on substance. He was the governor of Arkansas. What had he done before? You know, I think before 4 years before he was elected, his claim to fame was at the Democratic National Convention. He gave the longest speech ever.
Yeah, he sat there and filibustered out there, just talked and talked. But that was, I knew when he did that, who is this guy? It was to get attention.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, because all he had was good hair and he couldn't keep his fly open.
Yeah,
close.
It's true. Oh, he could keep it open. Yeah,
right.
He sure could. Hey, like and share the show. Tell your friends about us. It's Jim and Bill. It's another day. Jim and Bill. It's another day. Also, if you want to send us an email, it's mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com.
Oh, he could keep it open, all right. Yeah. I'm still laughing.
I remember I helped a friend of mine that's attorney when he ran for an office. He was a Democrat, by the way, that I helped. But either way, he was always saying, yeah, we got Bill Clinton. And if he can just keep his fly closed for a few more months. And I'm sitting there going,
oh, gosh. You know, he brought a whole new meaning to Cuban cigars, didn't he? Holy smokes.
Well, you know what? If you want to have a Cuban, he was the one.
Hey, speaking of good news, Bill. Speaking of good news, Ilhan Omar, she came out a few days ago and said her income was $30 million. And then she said a few days ago, she said, it was an accounting error. It was an oversight. I don't know how that happened. I'm not worth that kind of money. What? You got caught, woman. You got caught, lady.
Isn't she the one that owned the fictitious wine company?
She did. Not anymore.
They closed it down because she was caught. But what other fictitious companies?
Oh, I don't know.
Does she have that we don't know about?
I expect these people, when the going gets hot, they're going to get going. Literally. I mean, look at Hunter Biden. Do you know where Hunter Biden is right now? They think he's in South Africa.
What's he doing there?
Hiding.
Is he on safari?
He's hiding. That's where he is. He's on the run. The president's son is on the run. You know, unbelievable. But do you think the media would be carrying that story, covering it like they should? It's a big story. No, they're just letting it go. You know, because it's Hunter Biden. It's Joe Biden's son. You don't want to sully the reputation of a Democrat. So, and that's your job as a Democratic reporter, because they are not neutral. I'm just saying. So, Ilhan Omar's winery, I don't think they literally produced a bottle of wine ever. I think that they.
Well, yeah, but see, the difference is she would go, she'd go on the floor of the house. And she whined a lot. So that was the wine that she served up. She whine about this and whine about that.
Omar quietly amended her financial disclosure. Quietly. Shh, don't say it.
Well, let me ask you.
She said on March 26th of 2026, she dramatically revised it, reporting that her wealth was much lower than it was. She moved it downward from what appeared to be a high of $30 million down to between $18,000 and $95,000.
All right, so she had. Now this is interesting. She may have just created something. So she said that she was worth over $30 million.
Yeah.
It was a clerical error. Now, did she pay taxes on that, or did she get a return for losses in
she probably had a lot of deductions, Bill. She owned a winery.
A lot of deductions.
She owned a big winery in California, you know.
Yeah, that big winery out there that they just shut down. And now she goes, it was a clerical error.
Yes.
And she's worth only $18,000 to $30,000.
But, I fired that accountant.
That's a big clerical error from $30 million to $18,000.
But I fired that accountant, Bill. I mean, he's gone.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. You know, I mean, but there's a big money discrepancy there. So there was $30 million. Where did it go?
Well, it was a mistake. They added an extra zero. I don't know, Bill. She's trying to con us again. She's trying to stay out of jail. And I think
I think that she needs to. She can't vote anymore. She can't do anything anymore until this gets straightened out.
That doesn't happen. The Democrats, Bill.
Democrats.
They pay no price. They pay
$30 million. Oh, I made a clerical mistake. I really only had $18,000. So what's she going to do? All those taxes I paid in, you got to give them back to me?
Well, Bill, think about it. Think about it right now, right? All that we're talking about here, it's obviously illegal. But who are they going after and trying to put in on the docket? They're trying to put Kash Patel, who has had no charges against him. They're trying to sully his reputation, and they're trying to make him resign or make him look like the bad guy. When it's all the Democrats have been doing all the bad stuff, stealing elections. And look, that referendum in Virginia should never have been allowed to happen in the first place.
They've used this alcohol thing at Hegseth, too. They try to do that. I mean, Republicans, they're drunken scumbags.
They can't use it on Trump because he's a teetotaler. He's a known teetotaler. He doesn't drink.
Oh, they'll try everything they can. They go after him. I mean, they knock him down, he gets back up. They shoot at him, he gets back up. I mean, they think they're playing whack-a-mole, and they're not doing too well.
Speaking of not doing too well, last night, I guess it was, Democratic Representative David Scott, 23 years in office. That's a long time. That's a lot of elections won. He voted on the floor on Tuesday night, and a few hours later he died, 80 years old. Now, they say he died suddenly. Apparently, there's no foul play, but he has shuffled off this mortal coil, and he has gone to the great beyond. I don't know. Not everything is a conspiracy. It could be that he just had a heart attack and passed away. But I just thought that was interesting. Does that change the landscape of the majority-minority situation in Congress? I think it does. He's gone.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess there will be a special election, right?
I guess, yeah.
Where's he from? What state?
I think he's from New Mexico. Hang on a second. Don't go away. I may have it here in my sweaty little palm. Do I have it? I have, no, it doesn't say here. I'm not sure. I think I read he was from New Mexico, but maybe he's from Georgia. I don't know where he's from. He's from the Democratic Party. I know that for sure. So,
he's a Democrat. So
yes.
Okay,
yeah,
that is one thing you can be sure of.
The thing is, Bill, I hadn't heard much about the guy in his whole career. He must have flown under the radar all the time. Right. Although I'm sure he voted dutifully in line and lockstep with the party. So. Every little change that has an effect.
He was a good Democrat.
Yes, he was indeed. We talked yesterday about Germany has decided to call up people up to 70 years of age. That's right. You may be drafted if you're 65 in Germany.
Well, they have nobody on the rolls, and they do have some conflicts, so they had to. Yeah, you're going to see Grandpa parachuting pretty soon.
Push
Grandpa with a
push
machine
Grandpa out of it. Don't push Grandpa out of the plane.
Yeah. I don't want to go. You're going.
Hey, where's my dentures? Anyway, they've decided to draft people up to 70. So Russia looked around and said, "Well, wait, who are you talking about fighting? You're talking about fighting us? You're talking about? I mean, there's nobody else that you'd be calling up. 70-year-olds, and you obviously you must think that there's a possibility of a war happening between Germany and Russia. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll shut the flow of Drushba pipeline oil into Germany. By the way, Drushba, it means friendship, I believe, in Russian.
So you ain't our friends anymore.
Not
so
anymore, yes.
We shut off your oil.
We're going to shut off your
what would you have done
Drushba.
if you were Russia? Would you have done the same thing?
Well, probably, yeah.
Okay, well, then there's, what's the surprise? Well, we're building up our army to maybe fight you guys. Okay, you get your oil from us? Screw you.
Yes, and you remember that Drushba oil you liked so very much? Not anymore. Hey, also, Bill, it only took almost 2 years, but thousands of Palisades and Eaton Fire residents who have been waiting patiently for building permits to...
they're getting them now.
Yeah, to rebuild. But it wasn't because of Gavin Newsom. It wasn't because of what's her name, Karen?
Oh, don't tell me it was Donald Trump that helped
It
out.
was Donald Trump and an executive order from the presidency. He finally, he looked around. He said, Karen, what's her name? The mayor of Los Angeles, Bass. But anyway,
Yeah, Karen Bass, was
yeah,
it?
and Gavin Newsom. They've been avoiding the issue, as they would say. So Trump finally said, no, this has got to stop. So apparently these people are going to be able to start rebuilding their property. But I think, by the way, Bill, it was the plan of the Democrats and the left to have those people get so frustrated they would sell their property back to either the state or somebody else so they could repurpose it. The state could. I think the state wanted that land.
And also, what they will do, Democrats are great for this. They'll take credit for something they didn't do. There is an election for governors, for the governorship in California. So don't be surprised if some lowly Democrat that you never heard of, well, I helped get those permits going, and that's why I should be governor. There's a debate tonight in California for the governors, too.
Really? Well, I'll be sure to watch something else. If I wanted to be frustrated unnecessarily, I would watch it, but I don't need the aggravation. The poor people of and our listeners out in California, God bless you. Enjoy the show. Do you see where Apple has announced that CEO Tim Cook will step down from his role in September? Seems like he just became...
Didn't see that.
Yeah, he just became the CEO. It seems like just yesterday, but I think he's been there for like 15 years. He is... I guess Apple's Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering, John Turnus, has been announced as his successor. That's quite an advancement from a senior hardware engineer to the CEO of the corporation. But I guess that's what's going to happen with Apple.
It's a big move, yeah.
It is. Elon Musk said in a question, he was asked some questions about the future. He says in the next 10 years, cell phones will be obsolete. We're not going to be using cell phones. I thought to myself, that is a huge statement. I mean, that's that.
So what are we going to use? Chips in our head?
Well, it's like when people told us about DVDs and CDs. I thought that's as far as you're going to need to get. This is great, And now,
well, we had VHS, then we had the CDs, DVDs. And there was something else that was out that didn't do the Blu-rays, and that never went.
Well, Sony had their Betamax, and that didn't go anywhere. But
Beta was a big flop.
But it was a better format. It was a better quality product. The problem with Sony, and this is historic, they do it with their consumer products and their professional products, is they make it so that you can't use other products with their products. I mean, for example, with VHS machines, you could use a VHS tape that was made by any number of companies. It was a VHS formatted cartridge. You stuck it in the machine, it worked. With Sony, I guess they wanted to own the lane that made the tapes and stuff like that, and they prioritized their products so that it actually ended up hurting them in the long run. So, but getting back to Elon Musk and what do you think? Where do we go if we have no cell phones? Embedded chips?
That's what I'm saying. They've talked about that before. I like Elon, but if you're thinking about putting a chip in me, that's like getting a vax in me. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah,
and I go off the grid.
Well, I mean, do they? Where do they put it in eyeglasses? Do they put it in your hat? Are you going to be listening from a device that's in your collar of your shirt? I don't know how we can go backward. He doesn't think we're going to go backwards. He thinks there's something better. I'm with you. I think of the embedded chip as the mark of the devil. I mean, I would never allow.
Well, you know what? I mean, everything in your body, every organ in there that's connected throughout your body. I mean, there's electricity, there are chemicals, there are minerals in your body, but everything has a value, a capacitance or resistance value. Somebody could probably sit there and do a scan of the body and turn it into a biological schematic that they could turn it into a receiver.
Do you want to have in your body something that can listen to your every thought, can interrupt your sleep? Maybe, let's say you're sleeping, you want to get a good night's sleep, and it decides to be your alarm clock.
Yeah.
I don't want that kind of involvement or connection with a piece of technology. It's bad enough that we have these devices in our house that are eavesdropping all the time, but if you have something that's embedded in your wrist or your arm, it's eavesdropping when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Hey, Bill, I'm just about done. I have nothing more to add. Anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
There's a lot of news to talk about, but tomorrow is, like they say, another day. So maybe we should save it for then and see what happens today.
Sounds good.
There's a lot of news to be happening, and there's a buffet that's got my name on it.
I bet there is, yes.
And I'm going to go find my name in that buffet.
I bet you I know where you'll be in about 5 minutes, yes.
Oh, give me 3, and I'll be there, all right?
Yep.
So until next time, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we, and why are we here? Will we be welcome? Possibly fear. Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one, or split and divide, or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? Truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swear. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved. This is CRN America.